if that were true, would that increase their, I guess, success in their self-defense argument of a imminent attack?
Canada has troops, and I don't think we could claim, well, we have to invade Canada because they have an army and they might attack us. And so the question is, was there anything that would have given Russia a credible basis for believing that NATO troops had plans to attack Russia? And I think even to state that proposition, is to recognize how absurd it is. It might be that there were troops, in the Baltics, in Poland, aimed at kind of protecting those countries against a possible further attack by Russia. But having troops in a defensive posture is not the same thing as having troops in a position, to threaten another state. Now, the question you ask, you know, when does our behavior cause another state to believe that it's facing an imminent threat of attack? That can be tricky, right? That's why some international lawyers don't really like the suggestion that international law allows the use of force in response to an imminent threat, because they think that creates dangers of mistake, that creates dangers of abuse. Whether or not you've sustained an armed attack is pretty clear, right? That's not something that people can disagree about. Like, yeah, the bombs fell on my territory, so now I have a right. We were attacked in Pearl Harbor, on December 7th. Like, okay, so now we have a right of self-defense against the Japanese. But again, I think if we're engaging in a good faith, evaluation, the idea that even if there were troops on Ukrainian territory involved in training Ukrainian military forces, the idea that there was a threat that Ukraine was going to attack Russia, I mean, this is kind of a far-fetched and nonsensical threat.
I read that including in the deal, Russia is refusing to give up the lands they've taken currently. And I've also looked at how that since post World War II, if I'm not mistaken, uh, there have been no deals in which land succession has been part of a peace treaty. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. And is that true? And if so, how does that apply in this current situation?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there are some questions about China and Tibet, whether there was, but in general, Greg, you're right. This is part of the success of the UN charter system, after World War II, is that even when states do go to war with one another, and they do, we have not seen the acquisition of territory by force.